Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio/The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there. But we're moving on to the topic that I think we're most excited about, the NBA draft. What's it, 16th? May 16th.
That's
we're coming
the
up
draft
in the lottery.
lottery.
We're coming up in the lottery. So we'll see the final set order, and we'll probably have some mock drafts coming out, so that should be a fun time.
Absolutely.
Because then we'll know who exactly is going where. So it's gonna be a fun time. But we got to talk about the underrated prospects, guys that people might be looking over. What the plan is we're gonna give two each. So Dave's gonna give two, Ricky's gonna give two, I'm gonna give two, and then we're gonna give the Malcolm Brogdon Award, the most coveted honor of an upperclassman who
first time for the Fast Break,
who went to the NCAA tournament and led his team, and it's going to be a guy who's under the radar and might be able to perform right away for a team. But let's jump in, Ricky. Who is your first underrated prospect?
Well, the first one I'm going to do, actually, we're going to play a game, Sean.
Okay.
A or B. You get to choose who I'm going to mention first.
B. I don't care.
We're going to go with the guy who was in the national championship game in Kennedy Meeks. And he's someone that I think is going to be, it's not one of those things like, man, he should be a first-round talent. He's right now, most mocks I'm looking at, he's low second round, maybe not even drafted in some cases. And this is a guy, to me, where I looked at him, especially in those last two games, the one against Oregon and then the one when they won the national championship over Gonzaga. This guy can grab boards, and he's an excellent, not just grab the board, but grab the board, look, and pass, and find his guy. Excellent passer out of those rebounds. And to me, he's a guy that I could stick at either. Mostly I'm sticking with the 5 because he's a center, but you can also, I'd feel confident sticking him at the 4 just if I wanted to grab rebounds or put him in there, grab a rebound, and get it to somebody. Not a great athlete, but rebounding is where he's going to really make his game.
Do you feel like his quickness is kind of the biggest thing?
Well, and it's not really, I don't even look to his quickness. I just look, he's a big, strong post who goes up strong for rebounds. And I'm telling you, one team that, hey, might need to look for him with a maybe second, they got 2 of them, second round picks. If he's there late at 53 and 56 and the Celtics haven't grabbed him, faux pas on Boston. Faux pas on Boston.
I think it depends on who obviously they draft before him, but I think you can draw comparisons to him and Caleb Swanigan. Swanigan, a guy who's 6'9". You look at Meeks, obviously 6'10", but the reason Swanigan's going higher is because, yes, Swanigan grabs the boards.
Swanigan's a better
double machine, but he's better offensively.
Yes.
That's the reason why he's going, because you look at both players. They had the weight loss, the big weight loss change in themselves, and then you also worry about conditioning with those two. So that's the things that I think you look at those guys. I mean, yes, Kennedy Meeks very aggressive, and that's something you need in the NBA. But then again, he's not a Julius Randle where he's super athletic, and that's why he's not going high. But he's also not a guy who could do much besides grab a board and put it back in. So I look at that. Yes, he's got the size, but other than that, there's not much there. And I see the underrated because what's that unvaluable that you can see in heart and drive. So that's something that, as a second round pick or like a late second round pick, I might like that pick.
I'd say that's exactly what you want out of a second round pick, is someone who's they're so motivated themselves, they're going to get them into better shape. They're going to get themselves into better gameplay. Like that's you can't teach drive.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest upsides out of someone like him. And that's, you mentioned Caleb Swanigan. That's my guy. That was my underrated.
He was a guy that's been in my first round before. I mean, looking at Caleb Swanigan, what really most excites you, Dave? Because we mentioned the double doubles. I mean, he's a double machine. He's a
double machine. But honestly, it's the shooting that he's worked on and how far it's come, and watching him just be an absolute force. And it's kind of fun because offensively, it's someone who the ball just always seems to gravitate to him, and I feel comfortable. Like watching Purdue play, it was something that was kind of like, even if you know where it's going, you can't stop it, and you just have fun watching it.
Well, I'm sorry you had to watch Purdue play because that's some boring ass basketball.
It was not. It wasn't.
Purdue
great,
games aren't that bad.
That's boring basketball.
Big Ten games aren't that bad.
We are in Big Ten nation.
But then again, looking at this, because obviously you two have players that are similar, but they're also players that have kind of coming out of style. I mean, obviously, yes, Swanigan's been able to stretch it beyond the arc.
But
then again, how much can he? But how much? Then again, he's only taken 2 a game, and how many of those are wide open?
The one thing, and I've mentioned this before on past podcasts, that I think is a kind of indicator for Swanigan is you look at the one guy that they saw scouting him at the Big Ten tournament was Pat Riley. And I look at, second round. Let's see how many picks the Heat have. They don't have any. So if Pat Riley's there, could they maybe think he's good enough for that 14 pick?
They could kind of check together.
Well, he was at the Big Ten tournament. I mean,
you look at the Big Ten tournament at the Purdue game, and the announcers made a huge thing that he is here to watch Caleb Swanigan.
I mean, Caleb Swanigan's not going, 15,
because they made the reference when the boss is in the room, you might be doing something right.
He can cut a check for a second-round pick, though. I mean, that's where we're at in the NBA.
But then again, Caleb Swanigan's a guy that might fringe into the first round because of his offensive ability and because of his size. I just think
it's that combination of size and shooting percentage that I don't know how you don't love a big who can shoot almost 80% from the free throw line. So there you go. You can't foul him. That's not going to take him off the court. He's comfortable offensively. He's pretty good around the boards. I don't understand, his big thing is just his speed. His speed, can he keep up with the NBA game, is one of the biggest knocks I hear. And I'm like, I'm not worried about this at all with him. I don't have to say he's got a motor.
So you're talking size, speed, and shooting percentage. That's the biggest thing that you want, out of him. No, those are the things.
He takes the boxes.
Speed.
Yeah, free throw line is one of the biggest things for, do you have a good shooting motion? It's very mechanical. Yes, there's pressure to it, but at the same time, it's the easiest and hardest shot you'll ever have to take. And if you're shooting 80% for someone with his size, that means I don't have to. You're not a concern on the court late in games. I'm comfortable with you out there.
Well, the thing that I'm going to bring up is because he's a guy who's 6'9", like Swanigan. He's a guy who has speed. He's a young kid who I think is getting overlooked. He's a guy that I think we all had around 14 to 17 in our mock drafts. I don't know specifically. I pull it up. And you mentioned the free throw shooting. He's a guy that shoots 67% from the free throw line, but also doesn't go there that much. And then you look at a big game that he was in. What do you do from the free throw line? I look at the Arizona game, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. The guy that I'm talking about is TJ Leaf. Yes, he was playing with a fantastic facilitator in Lonzo Ball, but you look at his athleticism, you look at his ability to shoot from the field, you look at his speed, you look at his just drive. I look at TJ Leaf, and as a stretch four, a guy that's not going to be playing defense at all because he's not a defender, I see he can be a very nice fit in today's NBA because you look at a guy like Ryan Anderson, he has more speed than Ryan Anderson, he's more athletic, and he's a guy that can shoot like Ryan Anderson, obviously not at that level yet, but if he can have a facilitator like a James Harden, he might be a guy that can really thrive. So that's why I really like a guy like TJ Leaf, and he might be more valuable than a guy like Zach Collins because he has that ability to stretch it out.
For modern NBA.
I think he fits
the
modern NBA.
So my question is, do you feel that, how does he compare to Lauri Markkanen? Because that's the one guy who everybody's
different. I mean, you look at 6'9" compared to 7 feet. I mean, you look at the unicorn
6'10",
and Lauri. Well, Lauri feels like he's huge. I mean,
I'm saying TJ Leaf is 6'10".
I've seen 6'9", 6'10". It's fucking an inch.
If you're within 2 inches, though, I mean, come on.
But
is there really that big of a difference?
Yes,
when your job is to be a wingspan,
but then wingspan, ability.
Neither
to
one of these
ball.
guys plays very good defense.
No, but then you look at Lauri's ability to shoot. It's incredibly higher than TJ Leaf's. I mean, this kid was shooting 44% with 15 more attempts. I'm exaggerating here, but Lauri's a better shooter. He has more potential if he can handle the ball and take it inside because of his actual physical size. If he adds more weight and adds more strength there, then he might be able to be a higher prospect because of his size and his ability to shoot. So it's really the size that excels him higher than TJ Leaf. I don't think he's jumping a guy like TJ Leaf, but maybe a guy like Zach Collins.
Well, my big difference just between Markkanen and Leaf that you guys mentioned is one of the big reasons why I could see Leaf as an underrated prospect is exactly like you said. He played with a facilitator like Lonzo Ball. It's not has anything to do with Lonzo Ball's ability. It's just the name Lonzo Ball. Everyone thinks UCLA, they go Lonzo Ball. Oh, wait, this TJ Leaf kid. Unless you're really focusing on UCLA ball.
Shadow,
whereas Lauri Markkanen, for the entire non-conference schedule, didn't have that. Lonzo Trier wasn't playing, so he didn't have that guard kind of overshadowing him. And then we got the tournament. We saw it was the Lonzo Trier show, and it was wow, Markkanen does not look good out there in those tournament games. So that's the big difference between the two guys that you mentioned that I see.
I think another thing, too, is there's a heavy focus on ball handlers, both obviously because there's a lack of ball handlers
Guards
after the top
10.
Yep.
But then also you see the strength of James Harden, Russ, LeBron James. These guys can carry the ball be more than just a
Multiple
shooter setup.
position, yeah.
So that's one thing that I think they're getting overlooked. I just think that TJ Leaf's ability with his speed, his ability to get built because he has a nice NBA body, I think that he might be an interesting player, especially with a guy like Miles Bridges off the board, because Bridges had the speed, he had the size, he had all of that. Now maybe a team that's looking for a smaller player that's not a guy like Zach Collins, who's not 7 feet tall, who might be able to play the 4. I think that's why I look at like a guy like TJ Leaf being underrated.
Well, and it all comes down to when you're a kid in the backyard, are you that guy with the basketball going, Sean Anderson, 5 on the clock, 4, the buzzer beater? Or are you saying, hey, you know what, I'm the power forward standing in the corner. You go get him, Sean. Go get him. Take the final shot. Woo, we won. No, I was always, when I was by myself, I took the final shot.
Ricky, you have talked about being a spot-up shooter consistently when you talk about your basketball.
when I was on a
Not
team,
talking about
when
it.
I was
Let's
on
go
a
to the
team,
next
I was
prospect.
forced to it.
Let's
when I
go
was
to
by
the next
myself,
prospect.
obviously the ball's in my hand. I'm going Nigel Hayes, another, to me, a kind of a guy who I feel can stretch the court out at the 4 position.
Can't shoot,
but
yes.
Well, no, it's one of those. He can shoot. He's just inconsistent. There's a difference.
But you look at that, he's become a terrible shooter. You look at when he had a team. When you look at when he had a team around him in Wisconsin, he was a player that shot like 40% from 3.
Inconsistency.
And then when he was, hey, Nigel, let's put the ball in your hands. Could not shoot from 3 at all. Not an inconsistent. Couldn't shoot.
And you're not going to draft him to be your main piece. You're going to draft him to help out. I think he can shoot. He has the range to go all the way from 3. He's just got to work on the consistency of it. And he's a guy that I see, he has the potential to.
Maybe mid-range game, he's not going to be a guy who's going to be
all the
killing you from
tools
3.
To be a forward I want. A long guy, athletic, has a high IQ. The only thing that I think brings it back, can play defense, can shoot the ball.
I think at best he's a Julius Randle. That's not knocking him. I love Julius Randle.
No, the only 2 knocks I have is A, the inconsistent shooter, and he's not a great rebounder to me. But everything else, his defense to get steals, his athleticism, his IQ, how he can score around the rim, it could be essential to a team. Once we get into that second round, I would say even high second, look for Nigel Hayes.
I don't think high second. I think he's a guy like Kennedy Meeks range. I mean,
he's last 10 in the draft.
I would say
high
like
second's a
high mid,
stretch.
not like the first 2 picks in the second.
I think maybe
like,
a George Niang, where 47's his peak. I mean, I look at a guy like Nigel Hayes. He was going to be a guy that I mentioned because he was a guy last year, consistently at the end of my my mock draft, and then I started dropping him more and more because he couldn't shoot.
he's just inconsistent.
He couldn't shoot. Look at him. He can't shoot from the outside. This was because he was completely gassed at the end of games because he was carrying Wisconsin, or it's just because he didn't have the confidence in his shot. And he didn't have confidence in his shot for the past 3 years. So I would say in the past 3 years he has not been able to shoot. So that's just something.
With that, he's
I'm not
got
gonna argue about
he's
this.
got the ability.
Nigel
confidence
Hayes.
you can always get.
Nigel Hayes.
You can
I'm
always
just letting
get
you two guys go
You can
because-
always get confidence in a shot.
I don't.
Yes, but I would say right now he is not a shooter. He is not going to be a guy that you're going to
You
draft
can't
as
sell
a
me
stretch
on
forward.
him as a shooter yet. The thing
I'm
is,
just saying he's got the range.
We
Fix
talked-
that consistency, and he can be a good shooter.
We talked earlier about how much a system can influence a player and how John Wall gets his teammates better looks so they shoot I want to say it was something crazy like 20% better on assists by John Wall. I think he's one of the same guys. Is if you put him in the right system, he could succeed at the NBA level as a shooter. I mean, he's got a body for the inside, but he can at least stretch if he is in the right system. I don't think that he's going to be honest with you. I think he has a very low chance of panning out the NBA level due to his skill set, due to his inconsistency of his shot. I just don't know if he'll get a long enough look. And because of like the G League and everything, I don't know if he's going to be able to progress it at the right level.
I think he's a better player than Ben Bento was, and I like Ben Bento last year. But I look at Nigel Hayes, his ability to carry a team in Wisconsin this year, I think was very impressive. He was a guy that they went to every single play. If you want to talk about, you want to look at Purdue and how they went to Caleb Swanigan every time, they went to Nigel Hayes every single time, tossed him in the paint, and he worked. And I really like that his first go-to move as a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", was a post move. However, he's 6'7" or 6'8". That shit isn't going to work in the NBA. He's not going to be able to take that down low, and he's not going to be able to work down there. And then you look at the inconsistency of a shooter. I don't think people are going to worry about too much about his shooting because they can play a little bit off of him. As long as you're getting a hand to his face, that shot isn't going to sink. I really like his ability because, again, I think if he's in the right system, I think he can shine. I think it's I think he was a guy that was up for my Malcolm Brogdon Player of the Year thing because if he's in the right system, he fits right away.
Well,
he's a guy that's seasoned. He's a guy that's been there before, being a part of that Wisconsin team that went to the national championship.
Of course.
I think he's a very interesting player, but I think there's a lot of work to be done with him.
And that's it. I think it's workable, though. It's not something where it's like, write him off. It's not like he can't shoot, write him off. It's he's not the best shooter. We can work on it. We can make him a better shooter.
But you can find a shooter with similar size who's 3 years younger than him.
I think he's going to play in China. I think that's where he's going to be playing. I think he's going to be playing in China. I want to root for Nigel Hayes. I want to root for Nigel Hayes. I think he's going to be playing in China or India or Turkey or wherever he's going to be playing real soon.
Spain. Barcelona?
I think he's going to be able to go over to the Euro League where he's got that big body and take it in the post as a 6'7" forward and dominate. I think that's where he's going to be. I think Nigel Hayes is I understand where you're coming from, and that's why I thought he was an underrated prospect as well. But it's something where that age is too much, where Brogdon was so all around. He was just an all-around player in the right system. Dave, after that Nigel Hayes debacle, who's your second player?
I'm going for Dwayne Bacon. I liked what I saw.
Give me the
him.
bacon, Dave. Give me the bacon.
I know a lot of people kind of think he didn't progress as well as he should have in his second year. And the other guy in his team is, of course, going top 10 in this draft. But, so even on your own team, you're being overlooked by a player who you technically played better than. It's a little slap in the face, but I think that just he has a good body for what he does. He's very good at getting to the hole. His shooting, while streaky, is, I know this sounds stupid, streaky but reliable. Like, he's going to get his points one way or the other, whether it's from the free throw line or whether it's from the field. And that's what I like about him. He's not a player who shies away from contact. He actually is almost instinctive in getting contact when going to the hole, which is something I love to see.
It's something you like from James Harden, too. I mean, obviously not going to say he's going to be a James Harden.
It's the most infuriating thing about James Harden, but it's also what I love about him.
I look at Dwayne Bacon, and it's something where I think, again, going back to the Nigel Hayes thing of inconsistent shooter, I think he's a better shooter than Nigel Hayes. But then again, it's more of what's his role going to be? Is he going to be a starter or is he going to be like an eighth guy off the bench? Because with a guy like Dwayne Bacon, I think that he does have the tools there. It's kind of like Jaron Blossomgame from Clemson as well. He's got the tools there. He's got the ability there. But then again, will he be able to put it together quick enough to actually be a player that they're like, all right, hey, we got this 27-year-old and Dwayne Bacon who put it together. Or we got this kid that we just drafted who's got it together and might be able to take more minutes and quicker, better, faster, stronger. It's something where he might be outdated just so quickly. But I do like the picks of Nigel Hayes and Dwayne Bacon. I'm not saying that they're not underrated. I think that they're players that were, Nigel Hayes, you're saying that he might go top second round. I think that if he's truly
after the first third.
No, but what I'm saying, is if
one third of the way through.
If he's underrated, then you're thinking that he should be going in there.
He should be going
he's
like
not
25 to 35.
Let me put it this way: with Nigel Hayes, like right now, I look at the mock draft on Tankathon. They have him at 55. I'd have him higher than 55.
And that's what you're saying. He's underrated in that value. And then when you look at Bacon, I think that he might be able to play a similar position to where Prince was, or Bembry last year, where undersized small forwards. Well, actually, no, Prince and Bembry
or
were like 6'8". So 6'8" players.
He's 6'5". He's
Jesus
6'5",
Christ.
200. Come on.
Am I thinking of the right player? We're talking about Dwayne Bacon for Florida State.
We are talking Dwayne Bacon.
If he could develop the defensive ability, might be able to be his biggest thing, and being able to be a player.
Tweener. He's a 2-3 tweener, and in the NBA, and that's where I kind of see him falling. It's just, I think he's going to be a good scorer off the bench, and I think he's someone who, I wouldn't trust him as my primary ball handler. In a short spurt, I'd be okay with it.
All right. Edmond Sumner, I look at his athleticism, I look at his size. If that ACL injury does not hurt him too much and doesn't limit his athletic ability, does not limit his explosiveness, I think Sumner could be a guy who could be really good. And I think he's a guy that could be a really great sixth or a really great backup point guard, or at best a starting guard. I don't think he's going to have all-star potential, but I think he's a guy that might fall to that 42nd if he stays in the NBA draft and doesn't go to Xavier because he's a sophomore. If he's able to produce and if he's able to at least come back healthy from that injury, I think he's going to be a guy that could be a starter in the NBA because, again, he was a first-round pick. Before this injury, he was a guy who was super athletic, hyper athletic, a great passer. He's an okay shooter. He's not a good shooter.
Yeah.
But he could develop that shot. He could develop his shot. And again, if he's in the right system, he could be a player that really steps it up. So my guy is Edmond Sumner. Pretty much injuries are the only reason why he's underrated.
I was going to say, though, but I mean, you're talking about an athletic guy coming back from a knee injury, and before that he had a shoulder injury, and before that he had another injury. It's just, at what point does the body just give out on you and you can't go no more?
Well, that's difficult because then you look at Harry Giles. So I
another
think,
guy who none of us are saying is underrated.
The reason why is just because if he can come back healthy, he can
Great
be
value.
a starter. Yes,
Do you
he
think,
could be a guy.
where do they project him nowadays?
I think he's second round for sure.
Going to the Bulls in the second.
There you go. But
Tankathon.
Player like Karis LeVert last year, where the reason he was going to be a second rounder is because of the injuries, ended up going 22nd because it wasn't that deep of a draft. But then they also thought his injuries could heal. I think Sumner could be to that level where he could be a starter in the NBA. And the only reason why he's underrated is because of the injuries. But let's get to the big award, the Malcolm Brogdon Award. The guy who is an upperclassman, has led his team to the tournament, and could be a player that could make an impact from day one, either a late first to a second rounder. Ricky, who is your Malcolm Brogdon winner of the year?
First off, I think for next year, what we need to do is get a Malcolm Brogdon action figure, just paint it gold, put it on a base so we can have the Malcolm Brogdon Award. But mine is Nigel Williams-Goss. I mean, you cannot think of an upperclassman that did more for his team this year minus winning the whole show. And the only reason he didn't win the whole show was Joel Berry balled out in the national championship game and won that game for North Carolina.
Who did more that first team and upperclassman? Joel Berry.
Yeah, Joel Berry. But I look at Nigel Williams-Goss, and he is everything I want in a true point guard. I mean, he can see the floor well, he can score. He might not be the quickest or the speediest out there, but he keeps going. He can shoot from range. He's got a high IQ. He is a guy that I can throw out there, even if it's one of those things where, and I'm not saying like, oh, he's going to be a star point guard for someone. He's a guy I could look at to go, hey, you know what? Kyrie's not playing well, and I'm using Kyrie as an example because
pick a different one.
Any point guard in the league that, hey, I need to give this guy rest, I'm going to throw him out there, and I feel confident in him running my offense, running my system.
I don't know if he's a good enough shooter to make it at the NBA, but then again, you look at the leadership, you look at his ability to at least be a guy who can run an offense. I think it's an interesting pick, and he could be a player that, you know, his size and his speed could be, you know, a strength to him, because if a guy does go down, I don't know about Kyrie, but if a guy on a
I just used him because he's
team,
been benched recently.
Hey, maybe the Bulls pick him up. Maybe the Bulls pick him up and boom,
I'd take him over
point
Michael Carter Williams or Campaign.
I would
your
take a stuffed teddy bear over Michael Carter Williams. Give me any random object. That's it.
Who's your
Take
Malcolm
Kwame
Brogdon
Brown
winner of the year,
over
Dave?
Kwame Brown's not even a point guard.
My Malcolm Brogdon Award winner is Sindarius Thornwell. No surprise to you guys. I gushed about this guy during the tournament. I think he was one of the most exciting players and a guy who really elevated his game in his senior year. You know, if he had wanted to come out earlier, he would have been undrafted the entire way up. And then the senior, he made a huge improvement. But he continued to improve the whole way through college, and that March Madness, man, there's something magical about that. And you know, there's guys in the NBA who get drafted solely off of that 1 month performance.
Yeah, and I think
Buddy Hield got traded because of it.
That's true, and because Vivek was watching watching the tournament. I think you guys picked some good Malcolm Brogdon Award winners, but I think you didn't pick the right one.
Not as good as yours.
You didn't pick the right one. It's literally just the same exact player, just one is bigger, and it's Malcolm Brogdon. One's a guard, and it's Josh Hart out of Villanova. A guy that is a leader, was a guy
I thought about picking
was
him.
a guy that was a leader, was a guy that won a national championship, even though Brogdon didn't, so he's even got an edge over Brogdon. You know, they're all well-rounded players. They don't excel at one thing specifically. No one sees them as an elite talent. But if you're in the right situation, they have the basketball IQ. They are so well-rounded that they excel at different positions. You know, they can be a one or a two. They could be guys that can shoot from deep. They could be guys that can lead an offense. They can be guys with the leadership mentality because they've been leading their team. They're excellent defenders. You look at everything that the package is, it's literally just small Malcolm Brogdon and younger. That's all it is. That's all Josh Hart is, and that's the reason why I'm having going to the Spurs, because I think Pop would be stupid not to pick a guy like that.
I was going to say, so Spurs fans should be
after DeJounte Murray, you feel like they got to go backcourt again?
Yeah, we'll see how he plays. In Parker.
I think Murray could be a guy that you also. Well, I don't even. I look at this, and I would rather have Hart leading my office because Murray was still young. I mean, Murray's still younger.
He's still younger than Hart. Yeah.
So he is more of a project, and that's something where you look at the Spurs need. They still need guards. I mean, Patty Mills. I don't know his exact contract, but yeah, it's something where I'm pretty sure his contract's coming up. Tony Parker's getting older, just blew out his knee, so you're going to need point guards. And also, Josh Hart's a guy who can play the 2. He can play the 1. 6'5" guy. He's a guy who's bigger. Is not going to probably be bullied by shooting guards in the NBA.
He's got a good basketball mind to him too. That's the upside.
Smart kid, knows basketball. Jay Wright's a fantastic coach. I just think all around he is pretty much exemplifies the most out of Malcolm Brogdon. So if it's
I can't wait to see where we're at next year at this time to see who was right, who was wrong.
We're gonna be such idiots. But the thing is that it's kind of one of those stupid awards where it's like he most exemplifies John T. Williams, the life of John T. Williams. Anyways, in the comments down below, give us 2 prospects that you think are underrated, and also give us your Malcolm Brogdon winner of the year, award winner.
Malcolm Brogdon award winner.
Malcolm Brogdon award winner. We'll figure it out. We'll get a trophy.
We're going to get the Brogdon action figure, put him in a nice pose, painted gold. We'll buy one and then put...
Why don't we just get a random trophy? We'll figure it out.
No, it's got to be Malcolm Brogdon if it's the Brogdon Award.
I think you guys had great choices because I thought of some. I thought of Nigel Hayes, even though I tore it apart. Tell us your underrated prospects in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Check out blogtalkradio.com. If you download us on Blog Talk, thank you so much. But for Ricky and for Dave, I'm Sean, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Oh, shit. It's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.